It is 2 p.m. Central African Time. It is the 13th day of the second month of 2024. Welcome to Market View, tracking developments around the nation's economy and how it feeds into the overall sustainable economic growth of the country. Today's show starts with news from the Ministry of Home Affairs. The executive of the portfolio, Her Honorable Princess Lindiwe, is in talks with her counterparts from South Africa, negotiating extended border operating hours at the Lavomisa border post. Our second focus will track developments which is being spearheaded by the World Bank in collaboration with other trade stakeholders. We will then welcome in studio our in-house business journal, Nelsiwe Ndlangamandla, just to make sense of an important development. The Registrar of Companies under the Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade is already heading to His Majesty the King's speech from the throne regarding the simplification of company registration. We will unpack all of that over the next half an hour. Before we wrap things up, the economist Sanele Sibia, who is always with us, will take us through the latest financials through a market analysis. My name is Fiso Ngumalo. Welcome to the program again. For now, let's look at business news. Our first story, the Minister of Home Affairs, Honorable Princess Lindiwe, is negotiating with her South African counterparts to increase the operating hours for Lavomisa border gate, possibly to 24 hours, to increase smooth flow of business in an effort to increase trade. The minister said this during a tour of the World Bank with different stakeholders at the Oshuk border gate.
I also want to thank the Border Management Authority and SARS and everyone who contributed to the opening of the 24-hour border operation here in Oshuk. Great achievement for the country, great achievement for business for both countries, because this is profiting both Eswatini and South Africa. Everyone is happy. I'm sure now revenue has hiked up for both countries. And now that we are done with the 24-hour operation in Oshuk, now our cry is 24-hour operation in Lavomisa. Can we make it happen? Because when business comes in this side, they are stuck. They can't flow to the Natal side. So that frustrates business and also frustrates the tour operators, tourism. They're stuck here, they can't move. Sometimes they divert and go to Mozambique. Even if they want to go to Natal, they divert and go to Mozambique.
The Border Management Authority of South Africa says they are looking into the minister's request.
I mean, there is nothing really that we are disagreeing on. Minister, maybe just to also say, we had some working groups yesterday, and we're basically engaging on the issues. Just beyond immigration, we're looking at issues about health, issues about agriculture, for instance, and look at the kind of protocols that we have that doesn't seem to be aligned and things like that. And we're saying, but why do we have these things that are not aligned? You know, if we talk about requirements, how do we make sure that our requirements really talk to each other? You know, at the end of the day, just to make sure that there is that seamless movement of persons as well as goods between our jurisdictions, because it stands as our, as our interest, at the end of the day. So on that basis, we are really very much grateful, and we commit from our side, working together with our colleagues from SARS as well as the Cross-Border Road Transport Agency, which is also here. We are definitely committing that we are not going to be having some just general diplomatic jamborees. We are going to have serious engagement with the view of being practical and being taking decisive decisions within the existing policy framework.
Of areas of collaboration between Eswatini and South Africa which need to be explored.
The World Bank is currently working with the Eswatini Revenue Service, the business community, as well as the Border Management Authority of South Africa to increase trade by easing border congestion, amongst other solutions. World Bank's senior trade specialist, Inani, says they are here to provide technical support to Eswatini.
The main message I'm making is that this requires collaboration for collective action. That's what we have to see, because even coordination of the border management at domestic level require the agencies at domestic level to work together, but in international level to work also alongside your neighboring country. So the vision that we are trying to develop together, the decision will be of the countries, of course, is to develop a non-stop border, a border that becomes just a point of passage. And
Dr. Mike Masiapato from the Border Management Authority in South Africa said they are more than ready to find solutions to the challenges faced by the business community at the Ngwenya border.
You see, the first thing that we are actually looking at is to ramp up our information sharing, and as far as South Africa and Eswatini, particularly the South African Revenue Services as well as Eswatini Revenue Services, as it were.
Customs Border Operations Bias Theron from the South African Revenue Service shares his insight.
When you come to a border, there's always traffic. So some people, if a queue is a kilometer long, some people will complain about that queue, but that is what happens at borders. You have queues. For me, what would be a specific problem for us, or challenge for us, or opportunity for us rather, is how do we make that congestion virtually nothing?
The Commissioner General of the Eswatini Revenue Service, Brightwell Nkambule, says there are technological solutions which are already in place to ease congestion.
There's one called pre-clearance, which means even before you leave the area where you're collecting the goods towards the border, even before you leave, you submit your paperwork to the South African Revenue Services, you submit your paperwork to the ERS. We also have other technology-linked opportunities. For instance, we have a system right now that would automatically generate the declaration for you. We've also extended that to our traders to make use of it.
The World Bank will conclude the deliberations by looking into more areas of collaboration with Eswatini.
We'll go for a net break. We return with our in-house business journal, Nelsiwe Ndlangamandla, to look at a story developing in the Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade, heading to His Majesty the King's speech on Friday, saying that there should be strategies that are stimulating rather entrepreneurship in the country. We'll be right back.
sabatandi ukuthi njengalokhu sivile sive sikhulume.
Renewal of TV licenses for 2024 is now open. Here is a quick reminder. A viewer's TV license costs 180 emalangeni per device. Other accessories such as decoders and set-top box cost 50 emalangeni per device. For traders and repairers, TV license costs 300 emalangeni per business area. And now, to pay your TV license, use these following methods. You can use MTN Mobile Money with the number 76222000 or dial *007 *3 *7#, or you can use Eswatini Imali. And you can pay our TV license at any post office in the country. Another option is you can use any Nedbank branch using our TV license account number 119900430037. Don't forget, when paying for your viewer's TV license, reference with your PIN at all times. And when paying for a retailer TV license, reference with your TIN at all times. For more information, call us on 7802-4543 or 34050163 or 34020879. And you can send us a WhatsApp message on 762222000.
Welcome back. The Registrar of Companies, Msebe Malinga, says the Draft Companies Bill of 2023 is meant to make setting up a business easier for all businesses in Eswatini, as well as conducting business in the country. The Registrar said this in response to His Majesty King Mswati III, saying registration of companies has to be simplified by implementing digital solutions. His Majesty said this when opening the 12th Parliament on Friday. Let's welcome our in-house business journalist, Nelson Wentlangamandla, to the program. Nelly, welcome to the program. Really interesting development. We saw this bill, conversations around these bills in 2023, just, 2 months ago, pretty much. But it's something that I want us to discuss. But maybe before we get into that, let's put some meat onto the bones and listen to Msebe Malinga himself.
The company's bill introduces now an electronic company registration service. So it's a complete registration service now, whereby even the updates of companies will be done electronically. And we wanted to have that in the legal framework, in the legislation, so that we are not just doing it as an improvement, but we are bound by the legal framework to have these services provided to the public or our clients. The bill also introduces what we call a universal company now. Currently, we have two types of companies, private company and a public company. So in trying to simplify, again, the environment, the business, the doing business environment, we are now introducing a universal company. So there'll be one type of company. Why are we doing that? Most often you find that private companies are limited in raising capital and in sourcing funds or capital. So if we have one type of, as opposed to public companies who have the liberty of raising capital, advertising for their shares, and raising capital in all other means that they can afford. So this type of company then levels the ground that everyone and anyone will have access to finances and will be able to raise capital. And of course, when we talk to regulation and administration, everyone will be dealt with equally, not to have the different types of companies. We also are introducing what we call a constitution now, a company constitution, as opposed to articles of association, a very difficult component of the companies act or legal framework, in that the articles of association are actually difficult to interpret and to follow as one is doing business. So we're trying to introduce now a constitution in simple English for everyone to understand as they continue to do business and dealing with their companies. Also, the liquidation process has been simplified in the bill. Currently, it is a tedious exercise. There's a lot of stages and processes that one has to go through as they do liquidation of their companies.
That was the Registrar of Companies, Msebe Malinga. Pretty much nearly, he's talking a lot of business jargon in there, but ultimately what he's saying is that it has been made easier. Company registration has been made easier. Of course, a lot of changes. There won't be the public and private companies, just a universal word now for everything, and even a universal approach. A lot of, normal article of association, but ultimately, kwenda lo msebenzi ukuthi sale ubalula for my SMEs siyibonile ngwenyama ngalesihlanu yigcizelele logo. What was really interesting is that this was in the early stages of his speech. Laqala, I think was nawubuka even the speech, it's around page 6 and 7. Engabe kumqoka kangakanani na development na SMEs have been crying for a very long time, saying the registration process is tedious and it's long and it's difficult. Engabe kumqoka kangakanani le development?
Sifiso le bill lena imqoka kakhulu because I think the Minister of Commerce is on record saying ukuthi they are trying even to minimize the costs ekuqala inkampani. So le bill lena it's meant to tackle those things ukuthi soma business angathi nje nakafuna ukuqala inkampani atikhanze sekanwa inhloko. So itawubuka nje timfo letinengi to ensure ukuthi emabhizinisi ayakhona ukuthi asebende kahle la even sivile ingwenyama ichaza ukuthi i-Ministry of Commerce ayetame phela kwekuthi noma ke ematiko ahulumende awetame phela kwekuthi aqinisekise ukuthi nalama minority groups nawo ayakhona kufinyelela ebhizinisini. We asked the Registrar of Companies ukuthi engabe ngalapho kume kanjani. Wachaza ke ukuthi cha ngekwenta imithetho lenjengalena we are trying to address ema issues la njengalawo.
It's quite interesting. Minority groups have been His Majesty's, keen interest since, utawukhumbula ukuthi nasibuka likhefu igcizelele ndzaba leyo nasesibayeni banikweta alitfuba kwathiwa nyalo sitawufuna minority groups to go up there and present. So it's really interesting ukuthola ukuthi nakule development lena bayafakwa ukuthi abanakwe nawo so they can, leverage all the opportunities that are out there because they are for all of us. Lokunye ngifuna ukuthi sikukhulumise indzaba yawo ema-SMEs nje, looking at, Eswatini being a young population. Ma-SMEs siyati kakhulu ukuthi agcwele bona abantu labasha. Engabe if we look at Eswatini right now, are we having a lot of, SMEs looking to take advantage of all these services that the Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade has for them?
Yes, so more young people are showing interest. I think that is why the Ministry of Commerce is trying by all means to simplify ema services abo and to make them digital. We know ukuthi bantu labasha bathanza kakhulu kungena digital, ngeke nje uthi akahamba yolandza form. That's why they are trying ukuthi bende bo online registration, bo online queuing system, which we have talked about for some time now. Yeah. So I think they are really trying to ensure that everyone uyangena uyayenda le business. And it's important to say Sifiso ukuthi le companies bill does not only look at young people, does not only look I mean to say the SMEs, onke nje ma business ayabukelwa lapha ukuthi engabe angasebenta kanjani asebende melula futhi kangcono.
The prevailing conversation is resuscitation of economy. That's ultimately konke lebesikulalela ngalesihlanu ukuthi kufuna kufukulwe umnotho welive lakangwane ngoba nakufuguleke lo mnotho ngilakhona kutawakheke amathuba emisebenzi konke nje lokusihluphako kutawa bese kuyalungiseka. Engabe sisabuka tindzaba ukuthi sithi ke live lakangwane alibe export led neli. I see some of the stories that we just looked at nasabula hlelo the trade. Lavumisa 24-hour border operation Oshuk setamatonga letinhlangothi leto. Engabe nasibuka ukuthi kutekuthengisela natasita kangaka kenyalo lokuthi kuhanjiswe embili tindzaba ukuthi kusimplifywe ema services nema operations lakhona ku business.
Ngicabanga ukuthi kutasita kakhulu nasibuka i-report ya World Bank yeminyaka wanga 2021 yaveta ukuthi thina esilive leSwatini si exporter asengibekise nje even leNingizimu Africa exporter la kubo 65% kephana lona live leNingizimu Africa li importe 75%. So you can tell ukuthi nangabe senda lama interventions njengekuthi njengoba minister umfana Nkosi Lindiwe achaza ukuthi uyacela ukuthi ilavumisa lokuyigolela even leNingizimu Africa ioperate lo 24 hours. Siyayibona i-World Bank and the business community inele yakhuluma ingwenyama, they were there bavele bathi swiftly basukuma bathi let's look for a way to ensure ukuthi lama border ethu kusebendeka melula. This includes sharing ema reports, conducting studies, looking for other ways not only in business but in health to see kwekuthi engabe khona kunga collaboratewa kanjani. Kanti siphinze sakhulumisana naye Registrar of Companies ngendzaba yekuthi asichazele nje kabandi yena kwekuthi engabe yini lokunye labakwendile in terms of ensuring ukuthi ibusiness yala kangwane ihamba kahle.
It's quite interesting. We are going to look into an insight that speaks to that, as to that we are ready to trade under the African Continental Free Trade Agreement as well as other bilateral and multilateral agreement. Let's listen to the Registrar of Companies just speaking to what Nelly was just talking about.
Our journey started in 2014-15, where we introduced a mobile tracking system whereby if one had registered a company, they'll be able to track on its status and the processes after submission of those documents. And in 2018, I think that's when we made a huge improvement in the business environment, where we introduced an online company registration platform where one would apply and register his company at the comfort of their home. And in the same year, 2018, we introduced a company verification platforms for our financial institutions, so that we make it easy for business people to open their business account without carrying all those company documents with them. And in 2020 and 2021, we introduced an electronic payment platform for company registration services and for trading licenses. And in the year 2023, we introduced an electronic queuing system whereby we wanted to make it a comfortable environment for business people who have come to register, in that they choose their preferred services, and they are allocated an office and an officer electronically to attend to them. And that's what we have tried to do as a ministry. And of course, we have gone out to the communities, and where we've held workshops and seminars for business people in trying to assist them and educate them in doing business and company registration and all other services that have to do with doing business in the country.
We're aiming at keeping our debt to GDP ratio around the 40% mark of where we are now. That's in the medium term. In time, we'd even like to take it down.
Bukeli ehlelweni lalomuhla sihlala phasi nenduna yetemafa Neil Reckenberg. Izaba lenkulu lesitekako ukuthi ingabe uhulumende yini la kwentako kutama kufukula kosomabhizinisi labancane eSwatini.
SMEs are critical. We've worked very hard to try and get financial inclusion easy. Momo has helped a lot in Eswatini to really try and get financial inclusion more and more.
Tinhlangano takamhlaba tetimali timiyale kakhulu uhulumende ukuthi akayinake indlela lasebenzisa ngayo timali lanato esikhwameni. Ingabe ngiyona ndzaba yini tamhlupha uhulumende kusaqala umnyaka wetimali wa 2024-2025.
The money that we have, we let us really make sure we spend it correctly, spend it righteously, and let it get to the right place that it's intended for.
Eminyakeni wa 2018 uhulumende uwehlisile umthelo wetinkampani i-corporate tax, kepha-ke kusekhona kuqukumuka etinkampanini temaswati ukuthi tithengiswa kakhulu.
It's not fair and it's not necessarily right, because it means that our Liswati companies are never really going to be able to compete internationally, paying higher taxes compared to, the bigger companies paying lower taxes.
Bukeli loku nalokunye hlanganyela nami ehlelweni asakhe kwethu njalo ngaboLwesithathu insimbi yemfica kude kube insimbi yelishumi ebusuku.
Be sure to catch Business Watch every Wednesday between 2 p.m. to 3 p.m, where we feature the latest updates on business news, market trends, and exclusive interviews with industry leaders, as well as insights on emerging small and medium enterprises in the commercial sector. Business Watch, your business leader.
Welcome back to the program. For the next 6 minutes, we will hear a market analysis from our in-house economist, Mr. Sanele Sbia. Welcome to the program, Mr. Sbia. You are joining us through a video link today, but we are happy to have you on the program. We want to start with the currency ratings today. When I remember last week, we're looking at the Lilangeni against the Japanese yen, and it was weakening. I wonder what it is looking like today.
No, namuhla lilangeni lethu lende kulicina na ulicomparison al Japanese yen, so sitawuthi zakuvusela kuwena kwebalaleli babukeli. So lokho sikubangelwa ukuthi iJapan beyisolo isema holidayini kulamalanga abo founders holiday nani, so there isn't much activity going on. more especially kule retail sector nawubuketa le Japan so tinkampani letisebenta kukhanza nje ukuthi ngileto nje letihambako nawubuketa netimakethe tabo betivele tingiletivaliwe ikakhulu lama stock markets lokusho ukuthi vele economic activity ayisiyo lesetulu kungathi langeni namuhla ke selinako lotse licinile against the yen because namhla li trader at namhla liya trader nje lenyukile kancane li trader at let me get the figure. They trade at 7 emalangeni, 94 cents. One lilangeni equivalent to 7.947 yan. So we have seen an increment 0.86% in terms of the ratings.
Yeah, I'm looking at the euro and quite concerned the equivalence of elilangeni can't be 20. It can't be 20 euros.
Evidently it is. I mean, the Eurozone is a conglomerate of economies. So let me note for yana. So ngokungazi ukuthi vele litabali currency leyinemandla compared to emalilangeni. But nasibuka ke namhla lilangeni lethu nalo ngathi litshengisile lokuthi libe nako lokukhula kancane ligayina emandla kancane compared to the euro. So namhlanje lilangeni lelitrader kahle kakhulu against major currencies, but nakhona lokho sikubuka kuyaye kube ngileti info letendekako kulama logistics kakhulu nyalo nayo info le affecta umnotfo kakhulu and nakhona nawubuka ku Eurozone kunanathi inkinga lapha ikakhulu eJapan nje babhizi babambene ngetihluthu inyonyane tihlongota ku strike lokuni kakhulu nje kulamalanga so kunalawo ma wage negotiations okungathi ke dawukhanza ukuthi lokho ukuthi yalisebenzela lilangeni ngoba i-uncertainty in the Eurozone ngiyo lesisitako ukuthi sibe ngcono nathi nesilive.
Yeah, I want us to quickly move on to commodities, Mr. Sibia. Kunelgolide, sifuna kucala ngalo nje elgolide. Sibona iaro lapha elihlata le nombolo setulu kakhulu. Engabe kusitshela kuthini lo?
Iaro elihlata isho ukuthi imarket na uyibuketa ligolide shothi bantu bebalithenga kakhulu itolo compared to lokulithenga kwalelanga lelengcile. Lokho kuyaye kubukeke nangabuketa nje stock market performance mativala timarket itolo ngoba setawungena nekuthi utawubona ukuthi incumbi yato tivala phansi so lokho kuyalisita ligolide ngoba bosomabhizinisi incumbi ukhanza ukuthi baya-trader nangabe banga-trade babona imarket ngathi ne-uncertainty lena ngikufuna bese babuya kuma-commodities lanje neligolide ngoba ayayibamba le value wona.
All right. Let's look at the stock exchange, and then JSE. We do want to start lapha ekhaya, Mr. Sibia.
Okay. Nokudinginga so la ekhaya nasibuka i-all share index yethu itshengisa ukuthi short market isesa reactor to speech salomutse ngoba isetulu kulamalanga iphakaphakamile iyenyuka kusho ukuthi umnotfo la kangwane unayo lenkomba tekugcina and nawu kubuketa ke lokho kuyasitwa nangile sesingasho ukuthi le instability lo ikhanzathi ikhona ngale eSouth Africa regarding le market takhona iyasisebenzela thina silive ngabe ukuthi lenza abantu abo load shedding yalo kunama port problems so i-capital ayithanzi indzawo lengathi inedinkinga incumbi inemsinjwana incumbi funa kuhlala la kuthule khona.
Yeah. And perhaps, sorry to cut you there, and perhaps while you still give us an overview kulolo hlangothi lelo ungasichazela kulale tinye tinhlangothi tema stock exchange from the other countries ekuthenini what then separates us from the other stock exchanges.
Okay. So uma ubuketa so sila kangwane nje lokushaya ngule volume because now ubuka emavela njengabo USA nasibuka ema-stock markets akhona wakhanza kwekungukuthi wona le volume le trade wako laphana isetulu kakhulu kodwa nje nawo nasiwabuka itolo wona angiwo la kavale ngazuthi incumbi yawo beka phansi nasibuka nje ema-automotive makers nakhona America avale aphansi itolo lokho sika-attributa ukuthi yabona nawubuka nale shift lebuya ku-gold and nale trading volumes nalokuthi nakuvaliwe ngale nangesheya kubo lengesheya kubo Japan nabo China ngoba iChina ngathi ise-holiday iliviki lonke kuleli langa leyo. ingabe satudlwana itolo. Nasiya eAmerica eLondon nakhona sibonile ukuthi iLondon nayo ivale iphansi itolo compared to lelanga lelengcile. EGermany nakhona bavale phansi by a higher margin by a lower margin by a higher margin compared to iLondon because of the instability lesikhulume ngayo ukuthi kunaleti ndzaba tema wages leti busy tikhulunywa ku-America ku-German economy lekungona kungumnotfo lomkhulu kakhulu laphayana e-Europe. And then nasibuya ku-South Africa sibuke i-all share index yase-JSE yona namhla-ke ngoba timakethe zisevuliwe beyithembisa ukuthi inako lokwenyuka ikakhulu. So lokho kwenyuka kwakhona kuhambelana ne-anticipation ye-finance minister's budget lesetawuphuma emabhizinisi ayigadze kakhulu ngoba nangakhumbula nje President Ramaphosa kusona yakhe ukhulume ngema-heavy investments lamanengi. So imarket is looking at that though with optimism, but nje uyathi nakuphuma ama-investments lamanengi kuthiwa kuyawakha imigwaco, high-speed rail. So imarket ikakhulu the construction and the suppliers nema-tech companies wona ayakujabulela kakhulu lokho. So sesonke sesigade nje kulamaviki lamabili letako ubona ukuthi ngabe kutawuhamba kanjani.
Certainly, we're also looking forward to our very own budget speech. And Sister lapho nje sekhutalwandle kulokuvedile Mr. Sibia ekuthenini speech sengonyama sisendele ke tinfo letinhle tota sethembe ukuthi they will heed to everything that is said. Sifike maphethelo nehlelo lethu lalomhla. Thank you Mr. Sibia. Thank you to our viewers as well for joining us on the program today. See you tomorrow.